both of these machines have the same problem. So the one on the left is one that I've had for a long time, and it works just fine, except for the problem. The machine on the right, they're both DC25s, if you haven't figured that out by now, with the extremely yellowed hose. That's a junker that I'm going to, snarf some parts off of and make a couple videos out of. But you're staring at a problem that is very common. That's right, the tool release catch here and here. They've broken on both machines. And I kind of get tired of spending a couple of dollars to buy a cheap plastic part and then spend a couple of dollars to get it shipped. And when you snap these little, I'm going to call them buttons, because to me, you push it with the thumb, it's like a button, but the tool release catch, you snap them back in, and in some cases, brand new ones, they snap again. So I'm like, can I figure out a way to go and remanufacture or beef up those buttons? Dun, 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 dun. JB Weld to the rescue. So here are these two little catches right here. And on the surface, they look fine. Well, because they've kind of been repaired. But you all know what happens. This little tab on this side and that side, eventually, over time, or if you're real rough with it, maybe in a short period of time, they actually snap and they push inwards, which means this won't seat properly, and then it tends to, pop off. And then it's like, So what I did was, with JB Weld, I did it to both switches. Buttons. They're not switches, they're buttons. I went and remade them like this. Let me see how close I can actually get. So what happens is the thickness of the plastic is it's way too thin. And let's face it, you have a huge amount of initial pressure when you install these things, pushing in, in this direction, squeezing this in. And if you do it not just exactly right, the problem is they'll snap, even with a brand new switch. I've had that happen. It's very frustrating. Now, these switches are old, okay? One's a number of years, well, they're both probably a number of years old, probably like 10 years old or something. And the bottom line is, I went and said, look, why can't I just fill in the gap? So where my fingernail is, here, right there, there's a little, I'll call it a plastic wall. Let me get down, you can see that. There's a plastic wall there. And then, of course, on the outside, right, there's yet another plastic wall, but I've now filled this in. These were hollow. I mean, there's a space that I've filled in. I mean, clearly, it has a thickness now and a toughness. And, it didn't really add a whole lot of weight or expense to the switch. So now I'm going to install one of these. I'm not going to install both of them. I'm going to install one here on my good one. I'm going to take this one apart and go and fiddle with the motor or something like that, because the motor in that one's toast. But mine that I've had for many years is just fine. Well, except for the switch. So how about we go and actually install the switch? And of course, the switch comes with a spring. Now, oddly enough, these are the springs from both machines. And it's been so long now. Oops, dropped one. I don't remember which spring went to which machine. I mean, they're both DC25s, but I mean, they're made different years, and obviously, one's orange, one's purple. But I'm going to take one of these springs, and of course, it fits in like that. Okay, don't fall, don't fall. It fits like that, and then of course, it'll get squeezed down. But it's funny that it has two different springs. So they do perform the same function. They're on the same switch. One is a different length than the other one, and one is a different color than the other one. So you'll have to tell me if you've ever experienced this. They both work equally fine, but they provide different levels of spring back pressure, obviously. Even though they're made out of the same material, or I should say same thickness wire, one is longer than the other. So this one over here is going to provide a higher pressure, keeping the switch, pushed out. So how about we go install one of these, and it doesn't really make any difference which one I do, but we're going to install it in that machine. And hopefully this switch now, button, keep calling it a switch, this button will outlast the machine. Probably will. And let's face it, I just used, a couple of pennies worth of JB Weld to remanufacture this in a much sturdier form. Boy, the things I go through in order to get decent camera angles so you can see. Okay, so spring. Let's see, I think that'll stay. That would be nice if it would. Let's see, let's try the other side. Because you got to turn this thing, upside down a bit. Okay, hopefully that'll stay. And then get the alignment set up. And then we go and snap it in. And hopefully it will indeed snap in. You know what? I think I will angle it a little bit. And then push in here. Now, some people choose to use like a screwdriver. I've done that in the past. We're almost there. Heave. And there we go. Yay. I mean, how unbelievably annoying. So, but the one thing that I'm really sure of is this part is probably going to outlast the entire machine. Okay. Does it click in the right way? Yep. We're in good shape. That's tight enough. Come back out. Click back in. All right. Wonderful. So stay tuned for another helpful hint regarding a DC25 filter. And it goes something like this. You have this filter, it's making a racket, right? And it involves a string. Ooh.